back? Okay. I'm gonna adjust the audio just a little bit. It's still a little bit loud for me. There we go. That should do it. Probably just a slight hiccup in the internet. Everything looks fine, but we'll keep going. Anyways, recap. So, it was pointless to expect international stars here, and I'd only cared about the local bands so far as they helped me while away yet another boring evening. I remember how I brought Catherine here once, and although she hadn't liked it at all. Mitsu, meanwhile, refused to go to concerts at all for some reason. A young couple was cuddling in the corner. I watched them for a good while and suddenly felt revulsion. No, that won't do, I told myself. Tonight, at least I'm going to relax. I dashed to the bar, down 3 shots of whiskey, picked up another beer, and headed back into the crowd, this time at a far less steady gait. The old farts had finished playing, and the stage was now occupied by some glam rockers tuning their instruments. "Come on! Let's get rockin'!" I yelled. The guy standing near me glanced my way and said, "It's Corbo and the Sorrow Songs. Oh, we're gonna rock all right, don't you worry." "What? Are you playing too, or what?" "Sure am." "Then why aren't you on stage? They're all busy tuning." "Don't need any tuning. I'm always tuned." Well, it's probably the singer. He adjusted his sunglasses. Why was he wearing them indoors? Isn't it nighttime too? See ya. With that, the guy disappeared into the dressing room. The lights dimmed, and the speakers erupted with the first guitar chords. Hi, everybody. Oh, okay. Z Feels. That's the when I was looking at the soundtrack. I know it's was it I'm like blanking on the hang on. Where's the pre-show? What was it? Arseny Street. Okay, yeah. It's they're the ones that did the music, but they are also credited as this band name. So that's interesting. They might be like they're playing as the in-game band. I'm pressing space bar on the. There we go. A familiar voice came over the microphone as bright lights beamed down from the rafters. Who is it? Standing at center stage in a rather unusual outfit was Ellie, guitar in hand. Standing and then singing and playing. Now this, I was not ready for. I said out loud, but no one could hear me over the thundering music. Yesterday's episode in the old music classroom came right back to me. Had the money driven her insane? I could understand learning music on the side, but this here... I listened more intently. They were actually pretty good.
Again on the stage, watching all the lights die. You just came in, appeared from nowhere. You took my hand. And said, please stop.
Last night, okay. That's the thing right there. Crowd clearly took well to the music too. As the first song ended, Ellie shouted thank you into the mic and surveyed the crowd, lingering on me for a second. Did Did she spot me? Judging by the surprise and even embarrassment on her face, she did. So what? Did she really think no one would find out about her nighttime transformation from perfect student and lady into the queen of Tokyo's glam rock scene? I chuckled. Fell for her? Where'd you come from? That weird kid. The keyboardist for Z-Fields was standing next to me again. You were just up on stage. She's going to take some effort. Look, I haven't. We just go to the same school and sort of know each other. Oh, is that so? His eyes flashed from behind his sunglasses. What kind of a dumb name is that anyway? Z-Fields. It's pronounced Z-Fields. Oh, okay. There you go. Z-Fields. Like the anime robot, you know? I looked at him skeptically. It's to attract fans. If the jam-packed club was any indication, Z-Fields didn't lack for fans, at least not around here. I see her wallet chain. Oh yeah. Pretty noticeable. The crowd was getting hyped up in anticipation for the next song. An instant later, the guy I'd been talking to was back on stage behind his instrument. They were playing some kind of ballad. Ellie kept shooting angry looks my way. Of course, I wasn't here just so I could distract her from her performance. Still, she did have a nice voice, and she played well too. Maybe she had a gift, but even so, to get this far, with all of her obligations and responsibilities as a sign of a respected family. Time is finite, after all. I had no obligations, no responsibilities. Neat. Sorry, what? And yet all I'd learned to play were 2 or 3 songs from tabs. I suddenly felt an urge of respect for Ellie and backed away from the stage so as not to embarrass her further. I leaned back against the wall where she couldn't see me. She doesn't do as well without you. Anger imparts strength. What the hell? You guys are playing now, as in right now. Right now there's a solo. The kid was starting to get to me, so I went back to stand near the stage. See me, Ellie fumbled with her strings, a metallic twang rolling out from the speakers. Were her fans and servants going to lynch me now? But she quickly recovered and carried on playing as though nothing had happened. But once the song was over and before the next one began, Ellie subtly shook her finger at me from the stage. Now that was just ridiculous. How was that my fault? Was she obsessed or what? I made a point of not looking at her and focused my attention on the other members of Z-Fields. Bassist looked fairly ordinary, almost to a fault. Considering the band's style, I'd expected edgier attire. Still, he was better at it than I was. How long would it have taken me to be able to play his parts cleanly? I couldn't make out the drummer's features behind his equipment, but unfortunately, I would admit the keyboardist. That turned out to be their last song. The audience demanded an encore, but the band quickly disappeared off stage. Maybe they didn't have a particularly large repertoire. And what was I gonna do next? On one hand, I wanted to talk to Ellie and tell her that I liked her music. And on the other, was that the sound of a trite compliment? Besides, she was clearly not happy to see me at the concert. While I contemplated, the crowd began to disperse, and still Z-Fields hadn't emerged from the dressing room. They must have left through the back door. Oh well, I didn't have much to say to her anyway. Still, I was grateful to Ellie. Her music had allowed me to escape my problems, if only briefly. The club was almost empty now, but I remained frozen in the middle of the dance floor, immersed in my own thoughts. Usually I would have left before the end of a concert in high spirits rather than hang around for a bitter aftertaste of fun's conclusion. Either it had gotten warmer outside or the alcohol was warming me up. Somehow I'd made it at home in no time at all. Another note from Mitsu rested on the doorstep. Surely this time she could have let herself in with her key since I hadn't bolted the door from the inside. She could have made dinner and waited for me, like she'd done the day before. But the note made it clear that I couldn't even begin to count on it. What, did she think that I was just out having fun? The note, the mysteries, the man shadowing me. I just couldn't tell her about it, all that stuff, because it didn't mean I didn't want. Like, just because I couldn't tell her about all that stuff didn't mean I didn't want to. So I'd gone to a concert. What did it matter? A guy had to enjoy some culture once in a while. Of course, none of this was Mitsu's fault. I was just tired of her incessant misplaced worrying. I started to feel like I was in a cage when I was around her. Children usually become more independent as they age, but Himitsu had essentially replaced my deceased parents, and little had actually changed in my life. But to take all this for granted? Did I really feel no gratitude toward her? Judging by the note, she wasn't just upset, but hurt too. Maybe I could at least call her. I didn't need to give any details, just tell her that everything was okay. I could, of course, stop by her place, but it was already late. I reeked of alcohol, and a phone call was enough in this situation. Dialed the phone number I'd known since childhood. Almost immediately, her voice came over the line. Hello, Nico? Just about what I'd expected. Hi. Sorry I disappeared today. Silence on the other hand. You wouldn't believe me if I told you the things I had to do, would you? Did you? I sighed heavily. I'm hurt you're hiding something from me. If I was, there would be good reasons for it. But I'm not hiding anything. The inane laugh was meant to diffuse the situation. You know I'm always here for you, if anything happens. Okay. I'll see you at school tomorrow. Good night. Good night. I hung up and paused to think. What if I told her everything? I doubted Mitsu could help me in any way, but at least I wouldn't have to shoulder my problems alone. I was gazing at the phone. I was just about to head to bed when it rang. Mitsu again? Did she forget to say something? Yeah. Hi. I started automatically. Seriously, who would call me this late? Who else would call me, period? Nikolai. But I was wrong. It was a Chinose. Chinose-san. I'm listening. Nikolai, I thought hard about whether to call you. After all, I did tell you this morning to keep out of this business. But I owe much to your father, you see. And since he is no longer with us, the least I can do is pay my debt to his son. I simply do not know what to say. Are you listening to me? Yes, absolutely. I'm all ears. I don't know all that much myself, nor did your father, I suspect. But there is a person. Write this down. No, memorize it. His name is Akira Shinji. He used to work with your father and I, but he was laid off. He now owns a little restaurant somewhere on the waterfront. Ichinose felt silent for a moment and then continued hastily. Nikolai, I don't know if you're in any danger, but please be careful. Ichinose, which waterfront exactly? There's so many in Tokyo. The name's pretty common, too. I can't. I have to go. Take care of yourself. He was clearly afraid of something. Afraid, yes, but he still called and warned me. He even gave me a clue. Although the name alone might not end up being enough. For some reason, I felt no fear at that moment. More like reckless excitement and boldness. Probably owing to the quantity of alcohol consumed earlier. The second I got off the call with Chinase, I felt incredibly sleepy. I barely made it to the bed before crashing. I don't know, engineers? Can't be something nuclear, could it? September 10th. I woke up early with a headache, the dry horrors, and a terrible feeling of all the meaningless of existence. Good thing I always had an aspirin in my medical kit. Then I think that was the only thing in there in the first place. After washing the pill down with a couple glasses of cold water, I figured that yesterday didn't really end too badly. At least today I hadn't slept in all the way to lunchtime. Memories started to return slowly. Viscous and heavy, they surfaced in my mind, bringing with them a tugging unease. I suddenly felt uncomfortable alone in this giant empty house. I definitely needed to go to school. At this rate, I might really get myself expelled. It wasn't about my attendance, of course. I just desperately wanted to be among other people. I stepped out into the street, the chilly wind immediately chasing away the last remnants of my hangover. It was too early, even for Imitsu. Oh well, we talked yesterday. Although the early part seemed to only apply to me, life in Tokyo was already in full swing. The office workers were on their way to work, clad in identical snow-white shirts. Grocery stores and all kinds of shops were opening up. The cheerful old women were striking up conversations with each other. I was walking down the street, enjoying life. I never noticed that all the small things like these made the world a much more attractive place than I thought it was. Could anything really go wrong? BAM! Hit by the train. Fearing for my own safety, even my own life, made me realize I wasn't ready to change anything yet. Made me realize I wasn't... Okay, yeah, I said that right. Just up and return to the USSR? No, that was absurd. It was the rambling of a drunken teenager. But what was I supposed to do then? Fight here and now? Or just go with the flow? After all, there was no way a life as wonderful as this could be seamlessly cruel at the same time. Was there? The world turned its friendly, smiling face to me, and my stomach responded with as friendly a rumble. And to think when the morning had started, even the thought of food had made me want to puke. I entered a small restaurant and happily ate a bowl of ramen. All of my worries faded into the background, and hope glimmered in the distance. I was just getting all worked up about nothing. There was nothing really scary going on. For a year and a half, I'd been living as if in anabiosis. What's that word? So now every little thing seemed like a problem of galactic proportions. If something really did happen to me, for example, if I received a visit from the police, I'd end up having a heart attack. I just needed to calm down, wait it out, and all my problems would resolve themselves. And if not, I'd deal with them as they came. Once I got to the school, I was swept up in the crowd of students. Spent a good half an hour in the ramen shop and wasn't as early in the morning by then. Japanese, Americans, French, Russians. Sometimes it seemed to me that my school was a little too international. Anabiosis, a temporary state of suspended animations. Okay. Interesting word use. It was a good thing, though. I didn't feel as alien among them. As for instance, sitting at a narrow counter on a low chair of a typical Japanese snack bar. Several guys shook my hand on the run. Even a girl flashed me a smile. I recalled being in the same class as the girl last year, but wouldn't be able to remember her name even if my life depended on it. I was close to saying I was happy, but at the lockers, I ran into Catherine. Hi? You're early today. She gave me an unexpectedly polite response. Yeah, I skipped yesterday. I can't keep ditching school forever. Decided to get yourself together, really? Catherine looked at me, wide-eyed, and then frowned. Oh, I see. She had that smile on her lips again. I ignored it and said simply, yeah, so much has happened lately. I may have been feeling fine, but I couldn't hide my swollen face. Especially not from Catherine. Well, so I went off already. What are you staring at me for? You know it all? Emotions changed quickly on Catherine's face. Surprise gave way to indifference. She lost interest. That's not what or maybe that too. I don't want to fight anymore. I just think you have to understand my reaction. Put yourself in my shoes or something. What are you even talking about? Catherine asked nonchalantly. About everything. Don't pretend you don't understand. Don't understand what? I didn't even know how to talk to her anymore. Alright. You want me to understand? I do now. Oh, here we go again. Is that your way of mocking me? Why would I be mocking you? Well, that's what I should be asking you. First you come back for no reason, then you transfer to my class and pretend like that's how it should be. Show at least some morsel of respect. What should I respect you for? I couldn't hear Catherine. I had already forgotten to even think about yesterday's events and what I had been thinking about this morning. Or just don't talk to me anymore. I'm tired of degrading myself for you, struggling to get you to at least treat me like a human. It looked like she wasn't ready for this kind of reaction. So, make your choice. Damn, you just stormed off on her. Turned around and ran up the stairs to the second floor. Yo! Hey Nick, where have you been? Kyosuke was as carefree as always. Drinking? I snarled. Gotcha, you're not in the mood. Talk to you later then. He responded sadly. Whatever, we'll roll with it. Catherine entered the class almost immediately after me. There were still several minutes left until the bell, and they dragged on tormentingly slowly. It'll be easier than the lesson. It'll be easier, I kept telling myself. Anyway. Meanwhile, Catherine wasn't paying attention to me at all. No, this was crossing the line now. It had stopped being mockery and turned into outright cruelty. She had crashed headfirst riding a bike in those... Had she crashed headfirst riding a bike in those United States of hers? Right into the Grand Canyon? The bell finally rang. During the lesson, I could only think about Catherine, burning to the point of shuddering, and desired to turn around and look at her, swelling in my chest. I couldn't imagine to distract myself with anything. Yesterday's conversation with Ichinose and the mysterious threat hanging over my head seemed to have suddenly lost all meaning. A single thought was pulsating in my head, and I needed to sort out my relationship with her once and for all. I couldn't figure out if I still loved her or not later, and now I needed to. Needed to what? Oh, God damn it, I can't do this anymore. With a loud thud, I hit my desk with my forehead. Anakin, are you alright? I heard muffled laughter and whispers. Couldn't be better, Sensei. Just checking to see if there's anything in my head. Teacher didn't even raise an eyebrow. He'd seen a lot of working at this school. Maybe you should go to the doctor. No, I'm telling you, I'm fine. Well, do what you want, just don't interfere with the lesson. After that circus performance, I felt a bit better. Surprisingly, the planet kept spinning, paying no attention to my problems. The bell for a break rang. I was approached by Michael. It seemed like he wasn't going to start a conversation, but for some reason he looked me over intently. What is it? I finally asked. You're not yourself today. Is it because of yesterday? Yesterday? How do you know? I mean, the conversation in the cafe. Oh, yeah, right, the cafe. No, it's not about that. Everything's fine. Or will be, even if it isn't now. Without even turning her head, Catherine walked past us. I stared after her. Must have made quite a face. I see. Michael said dispassionately. What do you see? I was getting worked up again. Are all of you Americans like this? Like what? Like this. Completely disregarding of other people. Poking your nose at another's business. Insensitive, cold, and cruel. I think you're talking about someone specific right now. The gritting of my teeth must have been audible from the whole class. You know what, Misha? Oh, fuck you. Got it. Fuck you all. Fuck you to hell. Last thing I need are you and your questions and observations. Don't meddle in other people's lives. Mind your own. I want to drop some F-bombs in this. I stood up, looked at him up and down, and Michael didn't look away. Then I pushed him away with my shoulder and left the room. Good God, what the hell was I doing? Just lashing out one of the few people who still at least talk to me. Maybe he wanted to help. After all, Michael's no Kyosuke. The latter would immediately start to run around, dolefully wringing his hands, and what good would that make? Sometimes it really is better to look at the situation with a cool head. I definitely had to apologize to him. But later. I just wanted to switch gears and get away from the classroom. To be alone, or at least with someone who wouldn't pry into my soul. Well, with Mitsu, for example. Yeah, right, as if she wouldn't. Although if she were to see my present condition, Mitsu would probably understand. So... I mean, we haven't seen her in a while. I think it's only fair. Although I think if we go to the roof, we see that other girl. I don't know, what do you think? Roof, you want to blow off Mitsu again? No, right, I'm torn. I don't have the coin on me. I don't feel like coin. Alright, let's see who's on the roof. I mean, it might not even be her. Oh, what's her name? Kagome. It could be somebody else. No, In the end, it was stupid to think that I'd be able to distract myself by making small talk with her when the desire to kill someone was written all over my face. Oh yeah, there she is. But I ended up not being alone on the roof either. Kagome was sitting on a bench. What a coincidence. What a coincidence. Was this her office or what? I see. Sorry. I snorted and decided to look for a more secluded place. Leaving so soon? She called out to me. Yeah, I must be intruding, and I wanted to be alone. You aren't, although you can do what you want. Alright, but watch out. You might regret this later. Stupidity isn't contagious. That's a quote. I shrugged and approached and sat down beside her. Decided to hit your head against something in silence, and I immediately wanted to tell her to fuck off as well. No, I wasn't waiting for your rating. Will you be using a 10-point scale or a 6-point, like in figure skating? You like figure skating? No, damn it, I just know. General knowledge. You ever hear of it? And then it dawned on me. I realized that she didn't care a bit about me. And that even made me glad. With everyone else, I had some kind of emotional connection. Stronger with some, weaker with others. Mitsu, Catherine, Kyosuke, Michael, even Ichinose. And this girl was sitting next to me, not giving a damn. Which meant she didn't need anything from me. She wouldn't poke her nose into my business or ask me stupid questions and go on lectures based on her own experiences and mistakes alone. Although Kagome was acting braver than a couple days ago. So, what happened? You mean, you're weird, sure, but you've never hit your head against the desk before. Didn't I... I want to check if there's a brain in there. And what's the verdict? Regrettably negative. That was to be expected. I like her. She smiled. Somehow, automatically, I did too. But Kagome immediately grew serious again. Seriously though, it's about this Catherine Winters, isn't it? Why do you think that? I'd have to be blind not to notice. Even if it is, what about it? It's not the most pleasant topic of conversation to read right now. Makes sense, she smirked. You know what? I abruptly stood up and got ready to leave. Alright, sorry. Kagome said, I have no idea how to say that. Somebody help me. Placatingly, okay. Placate. Is it kind of similar to implicate? Make someone less hostile. Okay. Placatingly. I'm not very good at getting along with other people either. Now this was unexpectedly frank. But why either? Of course you wouldn't, acting like that. Oh, don't say that. And how exactly am I acting? She frowned and turned to me. Like that. You know what I mean. No. Go on. God, I can't even go to school normally anymore. Why do you even go here in the first place? It's clearly not to study. And what about you? Enjoy being a punching bag that much? Bullseye, that hurt. Kagome bit her lip. No wonder she ditched you. I shouldn't have told her that. Yeah, no shit. With you, the only options are hanging, drowning, and drinking poison. Damn. Or you could jump. I gestured towards the edge of the roof. You first, Anakin. No, please, be my guest. This began to resemble a game where the winner was determined by whose patience would run out last. And I had no intention of losing. This roof was too small for the two of us. Oh, so we're that close already? Could be even closer. I don't mind. When the meaning of my words got through to Kagome, she blushed, jumped up, and quickly headed for the exit, leaving with one last word. Asshole! Wonderful. I won. It's my roof now. And my only applause was the quiet howl of the wind, with the rare, already yellow leaves in place of a laurel wreath. I defeated all my enemies and was left completely alone. Makes sense. I was passing Mitsu's class when I heard a familiar voice coming from inside. It was Catherine. What was she doing there? I hid behind the door and listened carefully. Thank God for the thin walls of Japanese schools. It's also quite fortunate that Catherine occupied the desk closest to the door. Even if it wasn't her class. That's the Catherine I knew. Students walking through the hallway gave me weird looks. I didn't mind. They couldn't make things any worse. Not what you think. I caught the end of a sentence. No, I'm just glad you're back. Are you now? Well, if you want to search hidden meanings in my every word, I'll leave you to it. It didn't really sound like a conversation between old friends. I might have expected that. No, actually, I should have expected that. Don't pretend nothing happened. But nothing did happen. And hasn't been happening for the past year and a half. And even if we were pretending, we were good at it. Mitsu wasn't talking very loudly, but coffee burp. But suddenly went silent, gasping for air as if after a desperate scream. Why now of all times? If it was up to me, I would have never returned here. How convenient for you. You leave when you're most needed, and it's not your fault. Come back when you're not needed at all, and it's not your fault. And how are we to live now? Tell me. I never expected a reaction like this from Mitsu. Well, sure, I'd known for a while that she was no longer the 8-year-old girl I had met when I still didn't know a single word of Japanese. In many ways, she was more mature than me. But to see someone close to you like that, well, I guess I just wasn't ready. And what should I do? Tell me. Why in the world should I adjust myself to you, to him, to the two of you? For you, life is so simple. Well, it sure is complicated for you. You can even come and say hi, explain the situation properly, all because of your pride. Pride, you say? Catherine smirked scornfully. More like self-respect. You could use some of yourself, acting like what? Come on, tell me, how am I acting? The way you couldn't? It was weird that none of Mitsu's classmates were paying attention to the two of them. This certainly didn't seem like a friendly conversation. If only he knew the whole truth. Then tell him! I can't, Catherine said quietly. So quietly I almost couldn't hear her. Oh, so that's how it is. Then what do you intend to do next? You can't just ignore his feelings, can you? And what about my feelings? Has anyone thought about them? Her feelings? What? But Catherine immediately continued. I can't stand being near him. Then don't be. Free us from your presence. It'll be easier for everyone. Oh, don't worry, I will. There's less than a year of school left. Yes, but for this entire year. It won't break you, I'm sure. You're just... Oh, senpai! One of Mitsu's classmates called out to me. I immediately broke into a run. Cheese it! I hope the girls didn't notice me. I ran back to my class and was knocking down 2 students who were too slow to dodge me. I jumped behind my desk and tried to quickly catch my breath. By then, I'd completely forgotten about Michael. What in the ever-living hell was that? I could understand Mitsu worrying about me, but how Catherine's return might have affected me? But her tone, that wording? What about Catherine herself? I can't stand being near him. If he only knew the whole truth. Whatever happened between us, I didn't think anything I'd done or said deserved being treated like this. You alright, Nick? Yes, everything's fine. I blurted out. Kyosuke gave me a somehow sympathetic look and expressly glanced toward Michael, who was peacefully reading a book, paying no attention to his surroundings. Yeah, you know, a lot's happened. I really wanted him to understand. Yeah, but still. And Kyosuke was right. I very slowly stood up and approached Michael. So, nothing worthwhile would come to my head. Sorry I acted like that. It's just that things have been complicated recently. He closed the book and looked at me coldly. They're both communists. Please go with Ellie. I understand. It's alright. No, really, I didn't mean any harm. I just snapped. I'm telling you, I understand. Yeah, that was just like Michael. One thing in words, another in thoughts. Whatever, I certainly wasn't in any mood to try and prove anything to him. Lesson had been going on for 5 minutes already, but Catherine was yet to return to the classroom. Michael's a CIA spook. And to top it off, her things had disappeared too. I couldn't tell for sure if they were there when I returned, or I just hadn't paid attention. Finally, the school day came to an end. Oh, excuse me. I fixed my breathing. I felt a pressing need to talk to Himitsu, even though I didn't really know what I would say. And what could I say? With everything that happened today, I completely forgot about yesterday's conversation with Ichinose. And he gave me a lead, too. Mitsu, Catherine. But what about the note? The call? I had to find out what this is all about, right? This decision seemed like it could seriously change my life from here on. To go to Himitsu or try to solve the mysteries of my father's past. What do we do? We gonna blow off Mitsu again? Just send you to the gulag. Go get some answers. I mean, is the thing going there? I don't know. I feel like I've blown her off long enough, but and plus after that conversation. Yeah. The guys were grinning at me as they left the class, girls casting meaningful looks. Yeah, I can't even visit my childhood friend without gossip starting up. And then Himitsu herself appeared. Nico. Yeah. Let's go home together? Sure. Mitsu was merrily striding along the sidewalk, enjoying the warm autumn day. I don't remember this background. I would have obviously remembered the yellow Vespa. Is there a Rickenbacker base nearby? With a pink hair, well, not the short-haired, tall, short, pink hair. Oh no, tall, short-haired, pink. You know what I mean? As long as he's not swinging at my head. Meanwhile, I was gathering my thoughts, trying to decide on how to begin this difficult conversation. Have you talked to Katya already? You can't postpone death just by taking a deep breath. Why are you asking? Yeah, we've just seen each other briefly in a hallway. She flashed a cute smile and turned to me. It seemed like her hair was ablaze with bright rays of the sun. I grew embarrassed and looked away. I want to say, I don't want you to think I was eavesdropping on purpose. I just turned out this way. Anyway, I heard you talking today. What do you mean, talking? Her expression didn't change. Could it really be that she didn't understand? With Catherine, I heard you argue. I wanted to add about me, but stopped short. Oh, you mean that? Oh, we weren't arguing at all. We just haven't seen each other for a while. I'm so glad Catty-chan returned. What? I even stopped in my tracks and stared dumbly at Himitsu. But I heard with my own ears. So you're telling me that wasn't an argument? A fight? Of course not. You just imagined it. We're so sure that no one was eavesdropping on them. After all, it's impossible to lie so blatantly looking at the person right in the eyes. At least Himitsu certainly couldn't. Well, alright. I had to agree. I couldn't accuse her of lying, could I? Then what were you talking about? Nothing in particular, really. You know, girl talk. Well, that's nice. I didn't think you had anything in common. Anger flashed across Mitsu's face, and she didn't even try to hide it. Why not? We haven't seen each other for a long time. What if I missed her too? I mean, we were friends, she clarified, realizing she got carried away. Well, at least one of us is happy about her return. I smiled as genuinely as I could. Mitsu blushed and immediately changed the topic. And how was your day? It's the Monica pose. Normal, I guess. Drop by this ramen shop in the morning, you know, the one at the railroad. Nico. She pouted. What now? You're eating nasty things again. Hey, ramen is not nasty. It's not nasty. Your words could make the owner cry so much he'd oversalt the ramen. Fine, but you can't eat it all the time. Okay, she's got a point. She's got a point. You can't eat it all the time. I don't. You could say I'm on a king's diet. Thanks to you, of course. Of course. She pinched my side. Hey, that hurt. I didn't even notice the conversation changed to a normal course, and the two of us once again became almost like siblings. That's how it was supposed to be, right? Despite Catherine, no matter what. Alright, you had it coming. Okay, that hand placement was very questionable. I grabbed Mitsu, threw her over my shoulder, and ran down the street past dumbfounded people. Nico, let me down! Ah, what are you doing? But I didn't give a damn about anything. The uptight Japanese decency, the tiredness that I was surprisingly wasn't feeling, Mitsu's fruitless attempts to break free. I felt alive! When I'm carrying a cute girl with her ass near my face is the only time I ever feel truly alive. Please don't clip that. Nico, she said quieter as she'd stopped struggling. I stopped and let her down to the ground. Come on. Mitsu grabbed the lapels of my jacket and pressed herself to me. Now my head is spinning. Yeah, I overdid it, I guess. That was fun, right? You wouldn't do this with Catty-chan, she said, her head still cast down. Of course, she's heavy. Jesus Christ, dude. I tried to laugh it off with a stupid joke. Oh, I'm just waiting for her to just suddenly show up with a 100-ton hammer. Well, let's go home. My attempted joke ended in imminent failure. The remaining way to the house only exchanged a couple meaningless phrases. Over the past few days, we've been drifting further and further away, and this moment of closeness ended up just being just a memory. Well, here we are. I guess I'll make dinner? Mitsu looked like she was asking a store manager facing down the start of her shift. Nah, no need. I've got things to do today. I gotta go to the bank. I immediately lied about my escape any unnecessary questions. Although it didn't look like Mitsu was interested. Alright, I'll see you tomorrow then. She smiled almost genuinely. I didn't respond. I only watched her to the doors of her house. What the actual hell? What was all that about? I was overwhelmed by my own thoughts. To get at least some kind of a distraction, I was shooting pixel monsters on the screen. Didn't even notice as evening came. Are you playing Metroid? I was starving, and all my thoughts were focused on food. I wish I could have another bowl of that ramen. Hot, freshly made, delightfully tasting noodles. Stop it! You're gonna make me hungry. Who could possibly resist that? I rushed to the hallway and already put my boots on when the silence that enveloped the house was broken by the telephone. I wasn't going to answer. It had to be Himitsu. Her upset face appeared before my eyes. No. At least today she was going to let me be alone. I reluctantly picked up. Hello? After a long silence, a familiar voice sounded on the other end. Nikolai? Ichinose speaking. Father's old friend sounded agitated. I immediately remembered yesterday's conversation. Nikolai, I'm calling about our conversation yesterday. I'm listening. I'm calling to say you shouldn't look for Akira. Shouldn't? Why? You didn't? Stopped short. No, to be honest, I didn't really have the time. Good then. I've got news that he died. Oh shit. Died? Happy children's voices came from the street. Last rays of the autumn sun were pleasantly warm, and I was sweating bullets of cold sweat. Chinose, this isn't related to my father, is it? To his work? No, not at all. His voice was calming. They say it was a heart attack. He wasn't a young man. After a short silence, he added, We all face it one day. I'm very sorry. Forget it. You didn't know him. But still, if he was your friend, father's friend, well, I'm sorry that I can't help you anymore either. What do you mean? With your father's work, Akira was my only guess. Don't mention it. You've already done everything you could. If only I could do more. The standard Japanese exchange of pleasantries had already started to tire me out. Anyway, Chinase, if you remember something, I'd be happy to hear any information. Of course. Good night. He had to be lying, right? But why would you lie about a man's death if he didn't die? What if I were to rush out looking for him and end up finding Miss Akira? In that case, the lie would have the opposite effect. No, it was probably just a dead end. I wanted to unravel this whole situation, I'd have to try another approach from the beginning. When I left the ramen shop, the light of distant stars were already shining brightly in the sky. Like small lanterns hanging high above the clouds. I recall the stars in Russia being the brightest at the end of August. Cold, damp wind blew from the ocean. I shuddered. My heart felt unbelievably heavy. Maybe somewhere in the very center of Tokyo, the nightlife was still boiling, but my district usually fell asleep with twilight. The streets grew empty, with only stragglers hurrying home, where they were awaited by a loving family and a hot dinner, completely unlike me and my ramen. If only I hadn't had a fight with Himitsu today. I mean, I wouldn't exactly call it a fight. Could you really call it a fight? No, I wouldn't call it a fight. He's yelling at you and ended badly. It's not a fight. No yelling, no dish breaking, not even any face punching. Only strained silence, unspoken words, and indecision. That's not a fight. Yeah, exactly, indecision. I just didn't know how I felt about her. Especially now, after Catherine returned. Accepting her love would be the easiest option, but wouldn't I only hurt both of us even more then? Would these feelings end up genuine, or would I just swap her from a housemaid to a lover? And in the end, Himitsu would simply end up hating me, as well as herself. But rational thinking is something to attempt with a clear mind. The empty house met me with a ringing silence and the cold of an autumn night. For a long while, I stood next to the phone, not thinking about anything in particular. No, I most definitely wasn't going to call anyone. I was waiting for them to call me. The clock hands were nearing midnight. I looked outside, but her windows were dark. Why do I always do this? First push people away and then agonize over it? Finally, my tiredness seized me and turned out to be the deliverance I craved. I stretched out in the bed, closed my eyes, and immediately plunged into the pleasant state when you know you're about to fall asleep. Oh, there we go. Loading screen. It's a new day. And I'm not feeling good. September 11th. Get up! Someone's voice was ringing in my head. I felt like I was being lobotomized. Get up, Nico, get up! I arduously opened my right eye. The pain abruptly jumped to the left half of my brain. Here you go. Mitsu let out a relieved sigh. But today's Saturday. I grumbled and turned to the other side. It's Friday. Get up. She started to shake me by the shoulder. Enough already. I finally grew sick of it and jumped out of bed. See, it wasn't that hard. Mitsu was smiling, as if everything was fine. Although, why would something not be fine? I looked at the clock, and she was more or less keeping to her daily regimen. So why did I feel so terrible then? Breakfast? You're not getting any borscht today. She puffed out her cheeks just like a hamster. What's so funny? Nothing. You just look amusing. Mitsu blushed and her gaze darted back and forth across the room. Yeah, amusing. Like a little hamster. She stomped her foot, hissed, and left the room. You're a jackass. Mitsu always looked funny when she was angry. But it was all mostly a game. She was used to hiding her true feelings and emotions, and I couldn't always say what she was thinking at any given moment. I know how to read. Laid out on the table was a traditional Japanese breakfast. I reckon it wasn't the best time to turn my nose up and pretend to be a gastronome, so I silently sat down and started to eat. Itadakimasu. Mitsu said in a deliberately serious tone. Mm-hmm. I snorted in response with my mouth full. Nico, you don't pay attention to what's happening around you at all. What do you mean? You sleep like a log. What if someone were to break into the house at night and rob you? And what would they take exactly? I laughed, choked, coughed, jumped up to get myself a glass of cold water. How would the thieves know? This house looks nice from the outside. Oops. Oh, excuse me. Uh-huh. So you really think robbers pull off their jobs on a whim without investigating first? And how would they investigate? I have no idea. Or do you think I earned side cash by robbing houses at night? It's just that yesterday I saw a suspicious man nearby. Suspicious man? Yes, he was looking at something through your windows. I let out an incredulous sniff, which embarrassed Mitsu. Or maybe it was just my imagination. Of course, a lot had happened over the last several days. I couldn't just write everything off as schemes of the enemies of the people. Moreover, in this case, Mitsu just seemed to want some attention. And she had her reasons. I really had been ignoring her a lot lately. So what was so suspicious about this man of yours? I grinned. He's not mine. Mitsu stood up and started to furiously wash the dishes. Hey, I didn't finish the food. Tried to take back the bowl of miso. It was almost full. You don't like my cooking anyway. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I even had to get up from my chair to win back my rightful serving. Water flowed from the tap so strongly it broke against the base of the sink and splashed everywhere. Soon Mitsu's uniform grew wet, dark spots appearing here and there. Well, what do you think I should do? Go to the police? She didn't reply. I'm not saying it was your imagination or that it made it all up. It's just that real life is much more complicated. How would you know? She responded in a dull voice. It seemed like I shouldn't have been making fun of her so stubbornly. I suddenly got up, approached her, and hugged Mitsu from behind. Come on, I'm sorry. I slowly whispered into her ear. Don't. She tried to break free. The attempt was reluctant, effortless, as though she wasn't really sure if she really wanted to. These displays of affection weren't anything unusual for us. I didn't know how typical Japanese people would react to something like this, but Mitsu was used to it. I was too, even more so. It was only lately that I had noticed something start to change in our relationship. Maybe it was due to Catherine's return, or maybe the two of us just grew older. And the things trivial for grade schoolers started to gain much more meaning. Alright, let's go already, or we'll be late. Nonetheless, I had absolutely no desire to make excuses. I let go of Mitsu and took a couple steps back. Fine, I'll just go change quickly. She replied as if nothing happened, pointing at her soaked uniform. I was standing outside, waiting for Mitsu. It was a typical morning for this part of Tokyo. Nothing suspicious about it. Why is that in italics? Surely that was just her imagination yesterday. Although, the notes, the call, I suddenly felt uneasy. Shall we go? Mitsu stepped out of the gates of her house in a clean, dry uniform. Were we given multiple sets? Of course. So, I have a spare too? Of course you do, it's in the closet. I wanted to ask which closet she meant, but the words never left my mouth, and I felt an unbearable shame about my behavior today. And the way I treated her in general. And here's that ramen place. We stopped near my favorite restaurant. Mitsu said, clearly not interested. You want to go there sometime? Nika, how many times have I told you? Oh, well, it's just that you're always cooking, and this is for a change. There were so many thoughts swirling in my head the entire way. So many words sat at the tip of my tongue, and I was mumbling something unintelligible. Would that be a date? She asked snarkily. Ow, hang on. There we go. Well, yeah, I guess. It only made things worse. Mitsu blushed and lowered her head so much it seemed like she was apologizing. Fine. Sometime. Okay. I reached the school at almost speed walk. Mitsu could barely keep up with me. Class was even less crowded than usual, which came as no surprise. It was Friday after all. But then, what was I doing here? Hi! At least Kyosuke was right on cue. Hey there, I guess. You look all gloomy early in the morning. Is everything alright? Couldn't be better. I quipped and glanced around the class. Catherine's desk was empty. Since the start of the morning, Mitsu was leading my thoughts away from her, either intentionally or unintentionally. But yesterday's argument and all of its details were still fresh before my mind's eye. Now, of all times, it seemed somehow especially important, like a battle between two terrible monsters from Greek mythology. You're gonna do that, but not say any kind of kaiju? What's wrong with you? Have you seen Catherine today? No. Why? No reason. I'm just asking. Just asking, huh? A disgusting smile spread from one of his ears to the other. Yeah, exactly. I was trying not to react to the provocation. Nick, we never talked about it, but it's been 4 days already. Nothing to talk about. I was starting to boil up inside. I couldn't let another snap like yesterday's happen. There's nothing to talk about because I know as much as you do. Okay, but if you need anything, of course, I know where to go. Certainly not to him. I stood up and approached Michael, who, as custom had it, was reading a book. Hey. Remembering yesterday's incident, I tried to look as friendly as possible, but still not too friendly. He raised his head and gave me a slight nod. How's it going? Depends on how you look at it. And how should I look at it? Depends on what you mean. Kyosuke's anime philosophy wasn't exactly fun, but Michael's pretentious pseudo-Buddhism would drive anyone mad. Alright, I see you're in no mood to talk. I wanted to ask if you've seen Catherine. No. I see. Thanks. There's no point in continuing the conversation. Of course, Michael wouldn't bombard me with questions, but he also didn't need to. And he had other ways to dig into people's souls. I asked several more classmates to no result. My vain attempts must have seemed strange on the outside, but I didn't care. And everyone had long learned that to expect anything from me. But the thought of Catherine was haunting me. Because knowing her, left without a farewell, returned without a warning. What if yesterday's fight with Himitsu was the last straw for her? Naturally, she had to stay in Japan, but changing schools wasn't out of the question. And I didn't even know where she lived. But there was a possibility that she and her mother had returned to their old apartment. But I always thought there was no such happy coincidences in real life. But the school had to have information about her, address included, which meant that I could try looking in the teacher's room. I'd been there many times and had a vague idea of where things were kept. On the other hand, it was the very peak of the school day, and there was a high risk of being caught. And there was no guarantee I'd be able to find a personal file among the piles of paper. So shuffling about stupidly, unable to make a decision. I mean, there was just 5 minutes left until the bell. I have no idea. Let's see, who would be... No, it'd probably either be Kagome or Ellie. Maybe. We'll give it a try. Let's see who's in the teacher's room. Alright, screw it, let's do it. I walked quickly, not running, so as to not attract any unnecessary attention, and 30 seconds later reached the teacher's room. I listened carefully. It was quiet inside. So I gripped the handle and... busted! Anakin-kun. Familiar voice sent shivers down my spine. Kiyama-sensei, it's so nice to see you. The man glared at me with undisguised annoyance. King-kun, what are you, so to say, fiddling around here for? Kiyama-sensei, how could you? I just wanted to drop by to ask. The old man kept looking intently into my eyes, clearly expecting some kind of a plausible explanation. You're in a 6-piece bucket of trouble. Oh, you're gonna like this punishment. It's finger licking good. I'm sorry. I think you were just eavesdropping. How you could say something like that? Eavesdrop me? Never. Anakin, stop playing the fool. Tell me what you want. In the end, my plan failed spectacularly. But why couldn't I just ask him? It was a stupid idea, but I'm glad he wasn't shooting in the back with a shotgun. Who's to say he won't do that outside the school grounds? It was a stupid idea, but more so than just to stand here pretending to be an idiot. To be honest, Kiyama-sensei, he's right. I came here for a reason. I let out a sigh, my head cast down. Really now. And what is it? Yeah, it's about Catherine Winters. What about her? The principal seemed to have realized something. His eyebrows soared up, even took a half step forward. Don't tell me you've drawn her into your shameful antisocial behavior. No, I didn't. I may tolerate you here only because I don't have a formal reason to expel you, but Miss Winters, she is an exemplary student with a bright future. We are all very happy to see her return to our school. Sensei. But the old man had already gotten worked up and stopped paying attention to me, as if making a speech from a platform in front of a crowd of students. Of course, it's regrettable that you have no one to set you on the right path to properly guide you, but that doesn't give you the right to pervert other students. Yama-sensei, I repeated louder. Your life is your responsibility. It would be criminal to derail someone else's future. Yama-sensei! Yama shouted. To derail Miss Winters' future, I'd need to find her first. She's not at school today. Oh, wait, hold on. Okay, Nikolai said that one. Oh, is that so? It seemed like the principal had managed to bring himself back to reality. I wanted to learn her current address in Tokyo. You do understand we cannot discuss we cannot disclose students' personal information, don't you, Anakin? Well, what's so personal about it? What if I wanted to, say, bring her some homework? Yama-sensei frowned and thought about it. My question clearly puzzled him. In the old principal's worldview, everything was neatly organized in with a truly Japanese accuracy and meticulousness. He didn't understand and didn't accept that anything was outside of the borders of this view and became bewildered when anything within it didn't work as intended. To put simply, a student could very well bring Catherine her homework. And to do that, they would obviously need to know her address. But to give it to me would mean to bring upon himself a shame incompatible with the way of a true samurai. King, I'm glad you are... Now he found it much harder to choose the right words. The fire of his former tone had all but died out. I mean, to say you shouldn't be worrying about an academic performance of other students, you should instead watch your own. What does this have to do about my performance in the first place? He was clearly about to say something else, but at the moment the bell rang. The principal let out a sigh of relief and said in conclusion, I hope we're done here. Yep, sure are. I grumbled under my breath, heading to class. Lessons were running the course. Class was unusually quiet. I didn't learn Catherine's address, and neither did I know why she didn't come to school today. But how is that strange exactly? She disappeared from my life for 1.5 years, and now is already panicking after a single day? It was an unpleasant feeling, as if nothing had changed after her return. I kept agonizing over things, working myself up as I had before, but now I had a real opportunity and reason to talk with her and try and figure out our relationship. A real reason for hope. There was no tangible goal ahead, no script for victory or defeat, only gray days that followed each other like gray clouds in the sky on a rainy day. I don't believe everything would be like it was before. I didn't believe it could be much worse, because that would simply not be possible. I just wanted to be understood. Maybe then something would change. I felt like I was terminally ill, with only 50 or 60 years left to live. I mean, that's still... Right. Dude, terminally ill means you're like less than 5 years away. Okay? 50 or 60 years, that's still a life. Terminally ill. You're being you're overreacting. That's what I was looking for. Maybe in this situation it would make sense to try and get the most out of life, to live every day like the last, but almost anyone would throw their hands up. It was being hyperbolic. Why strain yourself in the end if the end is inevitable? And only one thing could still change something for me. The belief that everything I did wasn't in vain. That someone else needed all of it as well. Maybe somewhere deep inside I was waiting for an apology too, even though all hope had long been lost. Look everyone, I didn't just give up, didn't surrender my arms, cease to struggle. Yes, I lost, but I fought till the very end. I did everything I could. Time and time again, it seemed to me that everyone was silently laughing at me. even Michael, even Kyosuke, because they knew how much of a loser I was. If only they could understand. The only one who wasn't laughing was Umitsu, because she was always close. She saw everything from beginning to end. She understood. She cared. It was like a nurse on the battlefield caring for the soldiers fallen but still alive. But in that case, why couldn't I love her the same way I loved Catherine? It was as if some sort of chains shackled my soul, a chain of duty, making you leap into the fight with what remains of your strength, forgetting your real reason for battle. Fatherland, religion, love. It's easy to come up with a reason to heroically die, leaving a mark in history, at least in the memory of those close to you. It's much harder to come up with a reason to live when the abstract concepts that flutter like banners over the enemy's stronghold disappear in a hazy smoke of daily existence. There was no meaning to my life. I just wanted my accomplishments and battles past recognized. Abandoned by everyone, blinded by the faded flashes of the once great feeling, I wandered aimlessly through the now empty battlefield. I no longer believed Himitsu could save me. Why would she need a mortally wounded cripple? Nor did I believe that I would be able to find my weapon by hand, charge forward to the distant goal. I think I got something in my eye. There we go. Hoping to not win but to die, grasping happiness in my last moments. Hey, Nick, you sleep or something? I was generally prone to daydreams, but they didn't ruin my life, remaining on some existential level. Otherwise, I would have lost myself to alcohol or taken my own life. Jesus, dude, it's dark. Ow. Oh, God, that was my ankle. I don't know if that came through the microphone. Okay, I think it's fine. I wouldn't normally call you a people person, but today you're just pitiful to look at. Well, thank you for the concern. Is this about Catherine? Kyosuke sat on my desk. It creaked and even bent slightly. Man, you fat ass, are you trying to cause an earthquake? I pushed him aside and laughed. I see you're lively as always. Michael approached us. Well, I can't speak for Nick. Alright, let's go eat or something. I just wanted to distract myself from gloomy thoughts for a bit. Who was that over there? I don't recognize her. Today we didn't need to elbow our way to the cafeteria. Kyosuke knew every runaround, not to mention the chubby young man had a great relationship with all the women there. We were sitting in the middle of the hall like kings, which made my Japanese friend look especially funny. All of that slightly improved my mood. Did you watch the game yesterday? Oh, yeah, that's Michael. Did you watch the game yesterday? Michael asked, lazily poking the rice with a spoon. You bet! Of course. You know, in the third inning, I never understood the Japanese obsession with baseball. I never did either. Or rather, I couldn't understand the point of the game in the first place. I can understand the point of the game. I don't mind going to a baseball game as long as I get myself some good hot dogs. But yeah, the whole Japanese obsession with baseball that's something I haven't really understood. Wasn't there a movie? What was his name? Was it Tom Selleck? Where he played on a Japanese baseball team? At least I think it was Tom Selleck. It was a very old movie. Anyways, I digress. Sure, it wasn't hard to remember the rules, but I was always more interested in the more traditional sports. Football, basketball, hockey. What, baseball isn't traditional? Baseball's an American pastime. Come on. here we were, Michael Kyosuke, USA and Japan, perhaps the only two countries where baseball was popular at all. So their conversation was starting to really bore me. My only idea is that there was an episode of Samurai Champloo the Western traders brought it over and just caught on. Don't know the actual story though. Leave it to anime to give us a good history lesson. Guys, give it a rest already. You can propose a different topic. Michael easily parried. What topics could I possibly have? My mood quickly turned into being as cold as it could. My recent agonizing thoughts overwhelmed me again. Nick, don't be like that. Kyosuke mumbled sympathetically. I think they equate swinging the bat with a katana. You probably could say the same about Fooly Cooly. I agree. You need to keep thinking positively in any situation. I was morally exhausted, tired of all these thoughts, and didn't have any strength left to get angry at them. Like you'd understand. Sometimes simple support is enough. Yes, Nick, we're your friends after all. Guys, it's not so simple. Psychologists say you can't keep everything inside. Kyosuke said didactically. Didactically? I have no idea. Mike. Intended to teach. Am I pronouncing it right? Okay. I don't see any psychologists around here. Sometimes you can get it off your chest with someone you're close with. Michael looked at it as I can never pronounce that word right. As ever. Imperturbable. I know that word. I've seen it. I hardly ever say it. I can never pronounce it right. Of course, there was nothing strange in my friend's desire to help, but I couldn't get rid of the idea that they had goals of their own in mind. With Kyosuke, it was obvious. Curiosity. It was like a sucker fish feeding on hearsay and rumors about the lives of others. He even had something like an information network in the school. I like to believe that said network wouldn't start gossiping about my life as well. Although it was pretty simple with Kyosuke. Michael, on the other hand, he was diligently pretending to be interested in my situation just because, but somehow I felt like that wasn't the case. Well, let's say you don't exactly know. It took me a bit to find the right words. The backstory. Maybe, he responded coldly. We'll tell you then, not a big. It took just a short glance from me for Kyosuke to hush up. It's not a secret or anything. It's just... But really, what did I have to hide? Our past relationship with Catherine wasn't a secret. In reality, many people in the school knew about it. And I was acting as if I wanted to preserve something sacred. Not only I, but maybe also Katya knew. It was stupid, but at the moment I couldn't act any other way. The unpleasant conversation somehow died out, and we finished lunch in relative peace. The lessons dragged on at a painfully slow pace, but at long last the final bell rang. I found an article about baseball in Japan. I posted it in the Discord. Sweet. I'll look at it after this. I was slowly packing the books when Himitsu materialized in near my chair as if having been jumped out of transwarp. Is this guy a Star Trek fan? That's the only word I know that from. That's the only place I know that word was used. Anyway, Nico, let's go home together? She gave me a cute smile. As cute as always, and I'd say much cuter than in the past several days. I had nothing against going home, but I couldn't get over the fact that I'd never found out where Catherine had gone. But what could I do? There seemed to be only two logical solutions: to go where she'd been living before, or try and find her mother. On one hand, there was a certain chance they'd returned to the same flat they'd been using before. Why not? It's probably the most ambassadorial apartment. It was most probably an ambassadorial apartment. On the other, her mother was a relatively famous person, so in theory it'd be easy to find her. But at the same time, the nasty voice of reason in my head was whispering that Catherine had only missed school for one day and that it was too early to panic. Hello? Earth to Nico. Yeah, sorry, I was daydreaming. Interesting. I mean, is her mother even here? We just know she is, but not her mother. I would say either check the old apartment or go home with Mitsu. Got me go with Mitsu. Actually, I think she's American. This whole thing was weird. I waited for a year and a half, and I couldn't endure a single day. Michael's American, so is Catherine. I think so far the only one we know who's from the USSR is Nikolai. Catherine could have dozens of reasons to skip classes today. And most probably none of them were connected to me. Forget that you CIA sleeper agent. So wait, hold on. What if somebody said the phrase? Oh, what was it? Boy, that Italian family, the next table is awfully quiet. Alright, let's go. Mitsu looks somehow too content. I wanted to ask what happened, but couldn't bring myself to. As if following a habit, I was making up a believable lie. Anything just not to tell her the truth. Oh, excuse me. Mine is just playing Tears in Heaven by Eric Clapton, but it just makes me break down in tears. That song is so depressing. It does the same thing to me. I don't know what you're talking about. It's not a unique reaction. I love that song. The recycling triggers. But what in the world did I have to fear now? After all, I decided not to fuss about Catherine. I probably just got used to keeping my true feelings hidden from Mitsu in futile attempts to prevent myself from hurting her. What are you thinking, Nico? Well, Here I go again. On my own. Going down the only road I've ever known. Like a twister, I was born to work alone. Alright, anyways. Just school. There's barely any of it left. And then it's adulthood. Was it? Was it? What? Wait, what did I say? Did I say Twister or Drifter? I said Twister. What's wrong with me today? Why was I thinking Twister? Oh well. Still White Snake. The hot spot. I smiled to somewhat smooth out the seeming gravity of the topic. Long overdue. Well, it's more complicated for me compared to you. Why is that? You made your choice long ago. You want to teach Russian, but I don't know yet. For some reason, Mitsu blushed out, but kept looking at me just as intently. Better sooner than later. I have more time to get ready too. Well, I'm not arguing with that, but that's all well good when you know who you want to be. And to be honest, I don't want to become anyone. Nico. I'll go work retail for minimum wage and drink myself silly in the evenings. Nico! Fine. If I become a teacher, we could... The end of the phrase lingered in the air. I mean, you could... What? Mitsu totally lost herself in the maze of her own unsaid words. But you used to have dreams and aspirations before? And when was that? I laughed. Before... She stomped her small foot as hard as she could and stopped. A year and a half ago. I don't recall. Of course you don't. She clearly meant when Catherine and I were still together. But who did I want to become at the time? The grief and pain seemed to have erased all other memories. No, I did of course remember how good it was to be together. The moments of joy and happiness. But at the same time, I completely forgot the mundane, everyday moments. It's as if that whole period of my life was fixated on her. Catherine. I was not eating, sleeping, going to school, talking to Amitsu then? Or was I not? I bit my lip in frustration. There was only one thing you cared about back then. What? You know what? This standard woman's cop-out suddenly sounded extremely fitting. Mitsu, come on, don't start that again. Come on, what? Don't start what? I guess I was so used to her finishing her sentences in my head, I was reflexively attributing words she never said to her. I don't want to fight, especially not without a reason. That wasn't at all convincing, so I took an extreme measure. I'm here with you. I'm not running after Catherine. It's time to put an end to our game of euphemisms. Where else would you be? Her reaction was unexpectedly calm. You're your own worst enemy, after all. Ain't that the truth? Well, if that's how you choose to put it. She smiled and walked toward home. I saw the save icon on the upper right. The game will remember that. What the hell was that? Mitsu was sitting in my room doing her homework while I lay on the bed reading manga. It would seem like an absolutely normal sight if not for our conversation a couple hours prior. She was, however, acting as if nothing had happened. I felt uncomfortable to agree, but decided not to get back on to the topic so as to not make things even worse. Nico, should I have no idea what that is. Well, that depends on what you're talking about. The sentence is... I don't know Russian. I can't read this. Sutka should be an E. What are you writing? An essay? And the topic? Religion and faith in Dostoevsky's novel The Brothers Karamazov. Oh. I had never even read this novel. Could I be envious of Himitsu? Our school held classes for the most of the common languages of the world, but I'd rejected the idea of learning Russian as my second language since day one. I was fine as is, wasn't I? Turns out, I wasn't. So, is it interesting? Read it and you can find out for yourself. Is it long? Don't distract me, you've got your manga. The comparison of Dostoevsky to manga stung me even stronger. As you wish, my lady. I jerked myself up and went to the kitchen. More than a minute later, Mitsu was yet to show up. Was I really upset with her because the entirety of her life didn't revolve around me? Yes. Whatever. Evening was drawing near. It was already time for dinner and Mitsu still hadn't finished her essay. Annoyed, also with myself, I dug into the refrigerator, merging with several eggs and vegetables. I could at least make an omelet. Not bad. Mitsu had a bite and complimented my cooking. How's Fyodor Mikhailovich doing? Well, he tackles matters more philosophical than scrambled eggs. It's an omelet, I clarified, started to chew with double the speed. No, it wasn't envy at all. Rather, it was shame. Yes, I was ashamed of being, in fact, absolutely pathetic, even compared to Himitsu. Why even? Did I really consider her just a piece of furniture? Will you lend me the book? Are you really interested? She marveled. Well, it is Russian literature after all. But there's no science fiction in it at all. That's not funny. I didn't want to upset you, Mitsu uttered sadly. I'm not upset, but since when are you interested in things like this? Well, I understand that you've been for a while, but not so heavily. This is philosophical literature that you're reading already, and you're younger than me. I tried to talk calmly, but my voice sounded a tone higher than it should have. But I'm not younger than you. I just went to school later. Maybe, but still. Nico, is something wrong? Everything's fine. Everything's just wonderful. First Katya turns out of the blue. Now I turn out to be the dumbest student in the school. Caddy-chan. That's where I realized I've said too much in my fit of righteous anger. I've only ever had the Brothers Karamazov explained to me. I really should just take the time to read it. Catherine. It just came out like that. Mitsu put her chopsticks aside and stood up from the table. Don't worry. It's okay. I'll go. Mitsu, wait, you misunderstood. Nico, it's alright. I just thought what you said earlier today. I'll go. Her face expressed nothing, and I just didn't know what else to do. Till tomorrow, she said, still coldly, and left. It looked like I really was the dumbest. Whatever I said, it only made things worse. Meanwhile, the sky grew completely dark. Somebody summoned the dragon. I'd probably lived through worse days, but today was on top of it all, also completely meaningless. I didn't manage to find Catherine, but I did manage to get into a fight with Mitsu. How typical of me. If an idea gets into my head, I press forward with manic stubbornness, paying no attention to the consequences or collateral damage. In the manga Kyosuke liked so much, heroes would rarely choose the path of least resistance. Contemptible is what some of them would say. Cowardliness is what others would add. But I'd say everyone decides for themselves if the means justify the ends. Let's say I were to get Catherine to explain herself. Wouldn't that completely upset my relationship with Himitsu? And there's still the matter of the calls and the note. Was I really in danger? In any case, at the moment my head was filled with something completely different. If nothing changes with Catherine and Himitsu never forgives me, then please do kill me. That's what I thought. But if I were to give up now, would that really be the end of it? I tried to put myself in Himitsu's place. That didn't seem plausible. How would it look from her point of view? Without finding anything out, he just forgets about Catherine and he keeps on living as if nothing happened. Although it seemed to me that Himitsu would be quite alright with this scenario. Well, perhaps she would now. But we're not 7 years old anymore. Something like this might fly once, twice maybe, and then she would just go away, cry it out, and leave everything behind just another childhood memory. I barely believed my own logic, but driven by a surge of fear, kept piling every remotely plausible theory. I felt ashamed about Himitsu, but at the same time I couldn't keep Catherine out of my head. Although after the events of the past day, I wasn't sure about my feelings toward her either. At least not completely. I was just tired. With some sleep, these feelings would fade away. Only to come back tomorrow? No, I couldn't keep going like this. I needed to find her and let her go, or at that moment I didn't want to think any further. Maybe I was afraid, but what the hell did it matter? Last car drove down the street, and its tires creaking quietly, and my district sank into pre-dawn silence. Yeah, we'll go a little bit longer. September 12th. Actually, hold on, what's time I have left? Because I'm actually starting to feel it in my throat. We'll just go ahead and stop here. We'll pause for the... we'll stop for the night. Let's make a new file. Because why not? Alright, so we'll stop here and we'll call it a night. And I need to get some more water. I'm debating whether or not I should look up some kind of like, actually, hang on. Where's the... Maybe the trophy list will give me a good idea of how long I have in this game. Let's see. Achievements. Ow. Oh, excuse me. Okay, never mind. All the achievements are just the endings, so I have no idea what kind of progress I'll be making. So much for that bright idea. Anyways, we'll come back to this next week. Tomorrow we'll return with more Project Wingman, and that'll be it for the week. Won't be streaming on Friday, but I think we'll be, at the very least, being close to finishing or possibly finishing Dead Space 3 next week. We'll see. But by the end of this week, I'll... Let's see. How long to beat? Has it clocked at 16 hours for just the story, 30 with the extras, which I'm assuming are the endings? Probably. So 16? Okay. Well, what is this, part 2? Yeah, so we're still getting started. But, yeah, we'll see where this goes. I'm going to go see if I can be able to get Metroid Prime Remastered tomorrow. And then Dead Space will probably be... soon. Dead Space Remake will probably be soon after, and I'm beginning that on the PS5. But yeah, whenever, yeah, I want to space it out. When I finish either Dead Space 3 or Project Wingman, we're gonna get into Metroid Prime Remastered because I want to play that, and I don't want to go into immediately a next scary game. I need to mentally prepare myself for the Dead Space remake. I gotta grab Metroid and Legend of Dragoon on Friday. Nice. But yeah, that'll be the plan for the near future. I'd like to thank you all for joining me, and catch the rest of us, the Lazy League, or Lazy Streamers as I used to call them. The first link there on Discord, you'll be able to catch Oh Hey Mike K, the Batgwin, Gumdolph, many others in our circle of friends such as Warwick Zero, Rainarchy, Shadow Knight, 90 Tough Lub, I don't know what's wrong with me, C plus content, and many others. Come hang out with us, come be lazy with us. I think I'm just sleepy. Was this decaf? I sure hope not. But anyways, second link will take you to the sister site for this channel. There you can be able to find more info on other upcoming streams that I have planned, as well as my archive. And well, I don't even know how much of Everlasting Server even survived. That was like year 1 or year 2. But you could catch that if you could find it. Or any of my other past streams, like my previous 2 runs of the Dead Space, previous Dead Space games. First run of the previous 2 Dead Space games. That's what I wanted to say. But yeah. And if you got any questions, comments, or concerns that you would like me to know about, or any suggestions that you might have for me for future Let's Plays or Retro Nights, head on over to the contact page and shoot them out to me over there. Also, scroll down below or off to the side, depending which platform you're watching from, to catch many other streamers that I personally like to watch and follow. Check them all out whenever you can. They're all great. And again, thank you for joining me tonight. I need to go find some tea. That's what I need to find. Tea with honey. Coffee was a bad choice. But I'll catch you guys tomorrow for more Project Wingman. Until then, take care, love and hype. Life is good. Good night, everyone.